So, I popped into High House Insurance to see if they could quote for my house insurance rather than using the internet. High House got a great deal. So to celebrate, I bought a posh hairdo. It made me look beautiful, gorgeous enough to become a highly paid model. I then won Celebrity Big Brother. I had an affair with an MP. Now I'm promoting a doll of me that says, "Cool blimey, you're well fit."
Happy things happen when you talk face-to-face with High House Insurance. See if we can beat your home insurance quote from the internet. Find us on the High Street, Selsey, or call 606 552.
Hello and a warm welcome to Manhood Internet Radio. I'm Tony Weiner, your host for the show. So what do we have for you this week? Well, we start the programme with Alison's review of what's on in the area, and this will be followed by the answers to last week's quiz. Our gardening expert has some gardening tips for lawn care, and we have another brain teaser with Mr. Quiz Kevin. We will finish the show with an interview with the owners of Selsey's very own and popular diving experts, Mulberry Divers. So let's get going, and it's over to Alison for a roundup of what's on in the area.
Hello there, and welcome once again to our weekly look at what's going on round and about the Manhood Peninsula. Now at Selsey, on Friday the 23rd of September, the U3A will be having their monthly meeting. They meet at the Selsey Centre at 2:30 in the afternoon. Their speaker this month is Neil Sadler. He'll be talking about California dreaming, from Alcatraz to the Grand Canyon via Route 66. So if you want to have an American-themed afternoon, you need to go to the U3A meeting. Then on Saturday the 24th of September, the Cat and Rabbit Rescue Centre are having a cat and kitten rehoming day. You can find them on Calder Lane in Siddlesham. They'll be having an open day from 12 noon until 2 in the afternoon. And it's time once again for the Selsey Royal British Legion to hold their live entertainment on Saturday with the HB Band. On Sunday the 25th of September, down at the Cricket Club, it's the President's 11 versus the Chairman's 11. That's a cricket match starting at 1 o'clock at Selsey Cricket Club. The festivities will include a barbecue and an end-of-season party. If, like me, perhaps you don't really know about the RSPB and what they get up to, why don't you go along to their free drop-in event on Sunday? If you're unsure of what a bird is, then the RSPB guides will be there to help you at the Medmurray Silt Pools to help you spot and identify the wildlife that you see. This is a free event and it's just a drop-in between 11 and 2. Also on Sunday it's time for the Respite Teas at Selsey Methodist Church from 3 until 4:30. On Monday the 26th of September at the Royal British Legion Ladies section they're having a farewell party. The ladies section of the British Legion is being disbanded nationwide, and this sadly will be the last meeting of the Selsey branch. They're promising afternoon entertainment with tea provided by the committee, so you need to be there at 2:15 at Selsey Town Hall for the last chance to be part of the Royal British Legion ladies section. Let's move across now to the Witterings and see what's happening over there. On Wednesday the 21st of September, it's time for a table tennis. That's a drop-in and play session for adults only, meeting at Bracklesham Barn between 10 and 12. Alongside that, it's CBT motorcycle training at the barn between 9 and 11. Today there's a coffee morning to be held at Russell's Garden Centre from 10 until 11:30, and that's in aid of the St Wilfrid's Hospice. That's Russell's Garden Centre. Gyrokensis with Jen will be happening at Bracklesham Barn between 11 and 12, and then after lunch it's time for a spot of belly dancing with Step Inside from 1 o'clock until 2. Short mat bowls at Bracklesham Barn will take place between 2 and 4, and then it's a chance to do Zumba with Louise from 6:30 until 7:30. And don't forget it's happy hour at Pond Barn between 5 and 8. On Thursday there'll be Stitch and Yarn at the Witterings Medical Centre from 10:30 until 12:30, and also Knit and Natter at East Wittering Library between 11 and 12:30. The Witterings Master Art Group will be having a session between 10 and 12 at West Wittering Memorial Hall. And the short mat bowls, as usual, at West Wittering. That's held at West Wittering Memorial Hall between 10 and 12, 2 and 4 and 7 until 9:30. If you're interested in short mat bowls, then why not contact Maggie? She can be found on 673 231. That's Maggie, 673 231. For the youngsters, there's a junior youth club at the youth centre from 5 until 6:30. That's for 8 to 12-year-olds. And then the slightly older ones, 12 until 17, meet at the senior youth club, also at the youth centre. They meet from 6:30 until 8:30. And it's going to be karaoke at the Pond Barn between 7 and 11 on Thursday. On Friday the 23rd of September, it's time for the South Coast Networking 11s meeting. They start at 11 and finish at 12:30 at the Harbour Way Country Club. There's Baby Sing and Sign at Bracklesham Barn between 9:45 and 11:45, and short mat bowls in the afternoon at the barn between 2 and 4. On Sunday the 25th of September, Windrush Church will be meeting at Bracklesham Barn from 10:30 in the morning until 12:45, and in the evening there's the Pond Barn Quiz at 8 o'clock. On Monday the 26th, it will be time for Little Duckling's Mother and Toddler group at the barn between 9:30 and 11:30. Also at the barn, it's time for short mat bowls between 10:30 and 1. And later in the evening, Elaine will be taking a yoga class between 7 and 8:30. And Verity will be doing ARO Ladies Beginner Kickboxing. She'll be doing that between 7:30 and 8:30. And then on Tuesday the 27th of September, the Little Explorers will be meeting and playing and learning together at Bracklesham Barn between 9:30 and 11. It's time for meet and greet at West Wittering Memorial Hall. They'll be meeting for coffee, games, homemade soup and a roll from 10:15 until 1 o'clock. Elaine will be taking a yoga class at the barn between 10 and 11. And then in the afternoon it'll be time for Tai Chi at 4 o'clock. In the evening, the Community Pop Choir will be holding a rehearsal at the West Wittering Memorial Hall from 7 until 9. And it's time for the Badminton Club to meet at the barn between 7:30 and 9:30. And there's free pool at the Pond Barn as well. So that's everything for this week at the Witterings and in Selsey. Just time quickly to have a look at what the tides are up to. On Wednesday the 21st, we can expect a low tide at 8:40 in the morning and a high tide at 3:20 in the afternoon. On Tuesday the 27th, of course, that will all have gone out, so high tide then will be 9:45 in the morning and a low tide at 3:30 in the afternoon. So as usual, plenty to be getting on with, and I hope you all enjoy the activities during the week. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, Alison. Plenty of things to keep us busy. For those of you tormented by Kevin's quiz, here is Keith with the answers to last week's brain teaser.
And here we have the answers to last week's Kevin's Connections quiz. And Kevin asked us which luxury Rolls-Royce model was introduced in 1925, and that was the Phantom. Which 1979 Squeeze single includes the lyrics, "The Sweeney's doing 90 'cause they've got nowhere to go"? That's Cool for Cats. What is the name of the Riviera's sister restaurant in East Wittering? That's a Boulevard. What is the tennis term for naught or zero? That's love, of course. And who in the Bible wore a coat of many colours? And that was, of course, Joseph. And the connection is they're all Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals. Well, thanks for that, Kevin. Looking forward to next week.
Excellent. Hopefully you can rest easy now. Okay then, so moving on, we go over to our gardening expert David with some topical lawn tips.
Hello, and today I like to talk about autumn lawn maintenance. We've had a bit of a dry spell during August, and I raised the cutting height on my mower till about 1¼ to 1½ inches. Now that is the height I'd expect to be cutting in September, so I probably won't make any adjustment to my mower now at all. You need to keep cutting it a bit higher, and you probably will need to be cutting it maybe less frequently now. I've been going every 4 or 5 days on my own lawn, and I'll probably now go to maybe once a week, maybe once every 8 or 9 days. The next thing to do in the autumn is decide what your lawn is looking like. how's it looked over the summer period? I will probably be scarifying the lawn in autumn. Autumn's a good time to scarify the lawn, as it's still got some moisture in it, which allows the grass to regrow very quickly. In the autumn, the grass will actually tiller, which means it'll put more shoots, so it'll fill those gaps that have been left maybe by weeds dying off, or where there's been a bit of damage to the lawn. Once you've scarified the lawn, you might be able to find areas where the lawn is either highly compacted or is showing a bit of dryness. In those areas, it might be best to actually put a fork into the lawn. Fork it down to 2 or 3 inches deep and wriggle it about so you're making a bit of a hole. This allows aeration, air to get into the lawn, the roots to develop, and also fertiliser and moisture to get down to where the roots are. If the whole lawn is looking a bit tatty, you might want to hollow tine it. Hollow tining is more a professional machine. You either hire a machine from a machinery dealer or you get a company in to do it. All that hollow tining does is it removes cores of soil down to 2 or 3 inches. That, similar to a fork, leaves a bit of a gap so air, moisture, fertiliser can get into it. Once you've hollow tined or forked, it's a great idea to top dress. Top dressing is a mixture of 70% loam and about 30% sand. This is mixed up and put in piles over your lawn. Then, using the back of a lawn rake, you spread it over the lawn, filling in the gaps where the fork or the hollow tine has been, and also filling in any hollows and depressions that have been caused over the season. Once you've done that, give the lawn a good high potash feed. That will give the lawn a great stimulation to get it away. You'll probably have some patches of lawn that are looking a bit poor, bit tatty, no grass at all. In those areas, it's worthwhile repairing it. Give it a good fork over that area, put a bit of top dressing on, and then work some seed into the soil. Then lightly cover it and water it well. In a few weeks, I'll be telling you about what to do about a new lawn, whether it's turfing or seeding. But at the moment, it's just the maintenance. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And now over to our quizmaster Kevin as he challenges us yet again.
Hi, here's Kevin the quiz with this week's Connections quiz. 5 questions. What connects all the answers? Question number 1. Which popular Radio 1 DJ who died in 2004 had the real name John Ravenscroft? What was his stage name or professional name? Question number 2, one for dog lovers. Which small terrier is named after a 19th century reverend? And question number 3, staying with religion. In the book of Genesis, which garden were Adam and Eve forced to leave? Question number 4. Which Wiltshire town's cathedral has England's highest spire at 404 feet high? And question number 5. Which 84-year-old dancer was an original team captain on Give Us a Clue in 1979? So that's your questions, but what connects all the answers? Good luck, answers will follow soon.
That should keep you busy. Now, many of us will have seen divers around the coastline led by Mulberry Divers, and we now go over to Keith, who is talking to the owners about their amazing business.
Right, with me now I've got Steve and Linda Frampton from Mulberry Divers, and they're going to be telling us a lot about what's going on just off the coast from where we live. So, good morning, Linda. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. Morning.
Welcome to Manhood Internet Radio. Right, tell us what's going on in your part of the world, because there are things offshore that I'm sure would frighten me to death.
Thank you, Keith. There is nothing offshore that will frighten you to death. But do you know what lies beneath the waves at Selsey?
Oh no, I wish I did. Please tell.
There is a wealth of marine life. On the bottom, you can see anemones, dahlia anemones that look like the flowers in the garden, brightly coloured. Snake-locks anemones with writhing tentacles like the Medusa in the Greek fables. Tiny white anemones that we call daisy anemones. Beadlet anemones, bright red that you probably often seen closed up in rock pools. There are sponges in a wealth of colours, orange, yellow, white and pink. There are also fanworms, beautiful delicate fans in white or sprays of colours like a peacock's tail, which disappear with sudden movement, so all you see are little brown twigs or sticks coming out of the sand at the bottom. There are crabs, the harbour crabs in blue or green, which you probably frequently caught in little nets. Hermit crabs. These are the shells that scuttle away fast when you look at them or approach. Spider crabs. Weedy rocks or pebbles which also get up and run off. Edible crabs. Selsey is famous for these, from any size, from tiny about the size of a penny all the way through to the size of a dinner plate. Velvet swimming crabs, with bright red eyes and blue zigzags down their legs. Sponge crabs, which strangely enough live close to their sponges and wear coats the same colour as the sponge to act as camouflage. If you're lucky and look closely, leech's spider crabs, which associate themselves with the snake locks anemones, can be found close to or in the anemone. There are the lobsters, again something Selsey is famous for in terms of edibles, the large ones, and also the squat lobsters, which look more like crayfish. You'll find shrimps peeking out from close to rocks or crevices, and if you put your hand down and stay very, very still and you're lucky, they may well approach you and start cleaning you. There are fish, gobies, blennies, shannies, dragonets, in all shapes, sizes and colours. They all prefer to stay close to the bottom because they don't have swim bladders and are not very good swimmers at all. There are the pipefish, a much bigger version of a seahorse but straight. And at the moment in the sandy areas there are flatfish of all sizes and baby cuttlefish and squid. You often realise you've missed the baby cuttlefish and squid when you see the little squirt of black ink as they disappear away fast. There are starfish in yellow and orange, also in all sizes, and there's a wealth of shellfish, whelks, mussels and painted top shells. In midwater we can see myriads of small juvenile silver fish, and there are also the bigger wrasse, bream and bass that the fishermen sit on the beach to catch. These are just some of the things that have been spotted recently in the shallow waters along the beach and groins around the lifeboat station and at East Beach whilst we have been snorkelling. We're currently offering people snorkelling tours, and these are available throughout August and September. You don't have to have the equipment, or you can hire from us. You must be able to swim, and for those who have never snorkeled previously, we recommend coming and having a lesson in the pool first. You have to book in advance, so why not contact us at the dive centre and then join us on our next snorkelling tour to see what you can find. I'm now going to hand over to Steve, who's going to tell you what you can see further offshore if you're a diver.
Thank you, Linda. The English Channel that's immediately in front of us at Selsey provides us with a wide range of diving habitats. Immediately in front of Selsey is a very large shallow area before we get to the deeper water beyond the Hours reefs. That shallow area gives us a large range of dive sites that are suitable for people who perhaps have just finished learning to dive, or for those who simply want to have a nice leisurely dive and perhaps take underwater photographs. What you can see in that shallow area is immense. Sometimes we just drift along with the current and find ourselves passing over different rays, quite large thornback rays with their patterned backs, or undulate rays, and row upon row of sleeping cat sharks, or dogfish as you may know them. We also have many pieces of Mulberry Harbour left from the Second World War. One in particular is about a mile out from the beach opposite Pagham. It's called the Far Mulberry, and it is a fairly well broken up rectangle of reinforced concrete now. It's a very popular dive, and if you look on YouTube and simply search for Far Mulberry or Outer Mulberry, then you will see it's well visited, and people now with the digital cameras that are available take their own pictures and their own videos, and there's quite a wide variety to look at. Further out, offshore, we have a range that goes from underwater cliffs, such as on the Mixon Hole, where the drop-off goes from 6 metres down to 25 metres in a sheer vertical cliff of blue clay. And there's a very good video of that on YouTube if you simply search for Mixon Hole, and it gives you a very almost armchair view of exactly what you would see from the bottom to the top, complete with a swimming dogfish cat shark. And there's also a huge variety of wrecks. We're quite fortunate here. We have some very old wrecks in Bracklesham Bay, which date from the Napoleonic times. We also have some wrecks towards Chichester Harbour, which actually are very early models of British submarines. There's one called the A1, which is nowadays a protected wreck, so can only be dived under a licence, but gives you a very good idea of how small these submarines were and how cramped it must have been inside. There are also ships from both world wars. So in the case of the First World War, many cargo and merchant ships were sunk about 5 or 6 miles off Selsey Beach. There's a very popular one called the Sharala. This was about a 6,000 ton cargo ship, passenger liner as it was called in those days, on its way to India, and it was carrying a huge cargo of, amongst other things, African elephant tusks, Dundee marmalade and Model T cars. Now much of interest was professionally salvaged after the war, but people still occasionally see different objects today around the wreck when they're diving it, although of course, as it's now almost 100 years old, it's quite well broken up, and you tend not to be looking at a complete ship but rather fragments of a ship. There are also plenty of World War II wrecks, and there's one particularly fascinating pair which are just south of the Nab Tower. So there is a fairly large passenger liner called the Cuba that was sank in April 1945. That's quite big. Even today it's still large as a dive site, although it's well broken up. But that was sunk by a German U-boat. And less than 5 miles away is the wreck of the German U-boat that actually sank the Cuba. It's called UB1195. It was a Type 7 U-boat, and it was sunk by British escorts very shortly after it managed to sink the Cuba. So if you plan your day carefully, you can see both wrecks in one day, which is something quite unusual. All of these sites we visit from East Beach. We have an 8 metre rigid hull inflatable boat, or RIB as it's usually called, and we run a shuttle service for divers to go and visit these sites. And they can choose whether they want to go and do something shallow and have probably quite a long dive and take their cameras, or whether they wish to go and visit a wreck, which will be a slightly shorter dive. But all of those we include on a regular basis. And I do encourage you, if you'd like to know what we see and what it's like, and all of these wrecks have plenty of fish on them, so sometimes you struggle to see the metal for the fish. And if you don't quite believe me, go to YouTube or to our Facebook page, Google some of the wreck names, and you will see plenty of examples of what people can see. So thank you. Back to Linda.
Thank you, Steve. You can contact us if you'd like to know more in the Dive Centre, Mulberry Divers at East Beach. You can give us a call on 01243 60 1000. We're also on Facebook, just under Mulberry Divers, and you can find us on the internet. We'd love an opportunity to talk to you and tell you what you could see. So why not transform your life and come into the water with us?
I'm sure that will have literally whetted your appetite, and so concludes our show. It just remains for me to thank all our contributors, including Local Life magazine, our sound editor John Mallett, our presenters Alison, David and Keith, not forgetting of course our producer John Fletcher. So it's goodbye from me, Tony Weiner. Until next time, bye.